Router sleds. The good, the bad, the ugly. Let's talk about them. If you're like me and only got a 13-inch wide planer or something close to that, and a 6-inch wide benchtop joiner, and that thing's really not worth much, to be honest with you. This thing comes in super handy, especially when you start getting into bigger stuff, bigger cutting boards or slabs, things like that. So what I wanted to do is make a video showing this one that I built. It's a big improvement on what I had. And if you're starting out or looking for a new idea, maybe some of the things I did can help you out. Keep your shop clean. So let's get into it. The biggest improvement I made versus what I was using are these rails. They're 1.25" dowel, and what they do is obviously chips won't set on a round surface very well, at least. They won't really build up. And that was one of the biggest problems I had. These wheels would run down the edge of the table, which worked fine until you started hogging off big chips. And then they'd start riding up on the chips. So you end up, you're taking a 32nd here and an 1/8 inch here, and you can't get any kind of consistency. Now, this is not a CNC machine. This is not a steel or cast iron bed. You're only going to get so perfect with it. I get that. But you also want to do everything you can to be as consistent as possible, or you're just going to, it's pointless to even do this. You might as well attack it with a belt sander and a DA. So after I kind of figured out to try this, I stiffened, put stringers in, stiffened my table up. It's 3/4 inch marine plywood. I would assume you could probably use other things. This is what I had available. It used to be my pour table and glue up table. That's why it's covered in Tyvek, because easy cleanup. The table beds of these are the most important part, hands down. They're your 0 point. That's what everything is based off. That being said, take your time. Don't rush it. Do it the right way when you build these, because if you don't, no matter what you do, you're not going to get the results you want. The other, I would say, number 2 most important thing that I've found, especially if you're running something with wheels or you're like me and you kind of get lost in what you're doing, are these guys right here. They're stoppers, so it doesn't fall off, which I've done. It's not fun. You ruin projects. Not to mention it's pretty damn dangerous. So try to incorporate something along those lines in there so you don't slide off the end when you're working. The sleds themselves, wood or buy one. It's up to you. My advice, go buy one. Whatever style you want, whatever preference you have, whatever your budget is. I would go buy one made out of aluminum or steel. I've seen some of the newer ones kind of run on rods. I've never seen one in person. I don't know anything about them. They look like they work great. They look very smooth. This one has been pretty good to me. I bought it from Stone Coat Countertops. I don't know if they still make them. I would assume they do. It's heavy duty. It's got tons of adjustment in it. You can put almost any router in it. It comes with a base that fits in the channel that on the bottom of the plunge base right there. I'm sure you could build your own or do whatever you want. But I would, if you can afford it, I would definitely suggest buying one that's been manufactured, because they're just easier to work with. You can build them out of wood. You get a lot of friction. You get wear. They're frustrating to use because they're not as accurate. They're not as consistent. As far as your router goes, don't use a little router either. Get as big a router as you think you can afford or you got. Don't cheap out on the bit either. I did. Still works, but I've also created a lot of sanding for myself after using it. I don't think there's any sense of going through the absolute step-by-step of how I built my setup. Everybody's is going to be a little bit different. If you're this far into woodworking and you're looking to build one of these because you got a use for it, you've probably already got an idea of what you want to do and how you want to do it. I wanted to give you some tips and tricks, some things that I've run into that were lessons learned, and kind of pass them along. Build the table straight, true, and as accurately as you can. Same with the rails. You want good, consistent rails, whatever you decide to use. I would really suggest using these dowels. They work great. The chips don't pile up on them. I did about 3 hours of this last night and never once had a problem with it riding up. So I would really consider that. And the sled, that's the other big thing. don't, I would really just go buy one. Tell you the truth, save up the money and go buy one and build the table to it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and follow for some more, and good luck.